approaching zero. And I'm calling it that because I almost wanted to give it like a Time Wave Zero kind of title, but I said that context is going to get a lot of people coming in that are going to be looking for like some scientific dissertation, which I don't have for you today. I am I'm exploring that interesting feeling, right? Because I'll put it to you this way. A lot of people were primed in 2012, right, for us to hit a kind of year zero, and it didn't happen, right? We could tell that it just didn't happen. We don't know how we knew it didn't happen, but when we hit 2020, it kind of felt like it happened. But because we're still here and nothing is dramatically worse or dramatically different, but we still had the marker of a temporary dramatic difference, right? And we kind of pulled back on the course that we had set out for ourselves. You know, I'm talking about the collective we that someone like I, someone possibly like you, are not participating in, but amongst the unconscious masses will be directly manipulated into false binary choices on the whole matter. So, so 2020 was this kind of a year zero, but not really. It was basically doing a test run. It was a year zero test run, is ultimately what it was. And so there's the problem that we don't quite know exactly what year zero is going to look like, right? And I think people want to hedge their bets and say that something like 2020 is what a year zero looks like, where we're making too big a deal out of it as far as our world changing in ways that didn't have a rational progression. The collapse of the way society was before 2020 into what it's become, right? We went from a world that was completely interested in fantasy play of all sorts. And absolutely nothing but the good life. I don't know why you are here on behalf of the Chinese Communist Party, but you're not welcome here just for flag bombing me. Anyway, So we had already built, while this kind of generation was there, you had what that generation was going through, and then you had what people doing science through those generations up to the current generation are doing, right? The reason why we're having this decline of society is because we were supposed to let the material world fall away and let the material world fall apart while it was replaced with us living in ugly postmodern civilization. But we had very, very pretty decorations and arts and whatever, right? So you'd have like postmodern brutalist like shit. That would be how you'd interface with everybody and everything. But then you had your own personalized art, right? You were a rainbow clown in a concrete jungle, right? That was the idea. You were the source of color because nobody put color in the world except for you and your gay identity putting the color in the world, right? That was kind of like their thing. It's just like clown world to colorize the grayscale of the brutalism that they are putting you through. Am I out of juice? What's going on here? Can't seem to mist my... Alright, I need wiper fluid, I guess. Alright, I need wiper fluid. Anywho. I can't even see what the hell that is. But anyway, so it wasn't the craziest thing to see coming, because all it was the science class of people who were getting the most developmental favor by society and Wall Street and the government, everything going for it, right? All we did was just like try to implement just scientific achievement, completely insensitive to whether the culture wanted to go that way or not. And we'd been doing it for a while, right? We'd been doing it, but we'd only been targeting people that had no voices. In 2020, we targeted all sorts of people up and down the rung. You watched certain people that were among the elites either pretend to go along with the inhumanity that everyone else was, right? Like, you want to talk about the inversion, right? If the thrall, if the low man on the pole, if the average person like myself is supposed to be the most free in the paradise, right? Then the total inversion is, if you think you gotta force people to do anything, you can only really force the people at the middle and the top. But ultimately what happened is that half the people on the bottom got forced into it. Most of the people in the middle, most of them, and barely anybody on fucking top, who were just enough the wiser and did not have the circumstances of life to justify taking the minor risk. They could organize things a certain way for a long, long time because of their fucking quote level. This is on top of the very complex and convoluted system of hierarchies that one can hide in. Because naturally, if we're referring and comparing things to the Box Saga correlation of the world, then everything upscales to the king. Like, there is no getting around that. And everybody is family and understanding and the pecking order and so on and so forth. But we are dealing with something a little bit different. Trinity Raridan, come to your house, please. Why the fuck would I want to do that? Who the fuck are you? The last person that took a request to someone's house was bloodlet and turned into a alcoholic beverage. Why would I just show up at your house like a fool? I don't trust you. I don't know you. I don't have a reason to. We have to build a rapport. I don't just make house fucking visits. You don't even know why you want me. So, we have this 2025 coming up, right? You know, like, the thing is, like, by the end of 2020, it was just like one side was in a doom spiral and one side was in a glorious kind of state, right? We used to play this game of being in trouble or not in trouble as a state of the world for fun. We used to vote and then act like it fucking mattered. And in 2016, they changed the game to make it seem like your vote was going to matter by keeping the rhetoric real, where we're at political odds, and this is actually dire and serious to the point where I'm not going to agree with you on all sorts of things that the people are talking about on the internet, right? And so one side, you know, like, that's the only reason, right? That's the only reason why people think that you can be trusted in politics if you do it this way that that Donald Trump does it, right? Which also partially can only be done because of everything that's brought him up to this point in his life, right? Whatever circumstances, when we speak of his life, his family, his business choices, his wealth and success, etc., etc. And the meaning of all that, when your success is directly correlated on your ability to pull confidence with clients to do business, right? And so all of that is in accord with the logistics side of politically successful presidents. The problem, of course, being that we're only used to seeing that with two sides that are secretly trying to fuck us over on everything. Right now, it seems like we have a president that's going to still fuck us over on key things, right? We all see the Zionist fucking going on with the administration as it is. And need I fucking bring up the needle crafting of the administration in its first iteration? So we'll see what presidential power looks like for the first time in 4 years after this circumstance. Nobody in history has ever lost their first term as president and then got a second chance, regardless of whether it was stolen or not. It's kind of crazy to think that with seemingly no effort, because I don't know if enough of a difference being made in legal determinations to say that they didn't steal it in 2024. Who's to say they didn't steal it? But it would be impossible to say it was stolen at this fucking point. The way the case has been driven, and whether those motherfuckers like it or not, there's been too much of a remembered fucking conversation about all of this shit. You made the dire mistake of pushing things too far under the assumptions that your thwarting plans were going to succeed. But you still got a hold of him on key issues, which that's the only reason why he's still there, right? They want to get away with these big existential plans, so they're letting go of what they can't personally control anymore, because the way the attitudes of the emerging generation is changing everything, especially as that emerging generation starts making their personal choices, entering the workforces and stuff like that, not just the communications being had by new people making content on the internet and such. So anyway, I'm going to take care of some business, and I'll catch you guys later.